down here at Greenwich Village. It's not Greenwich Village, it's Greenwich Village. As you can see in the background, absolutely stunning background. Sitting here reading something that's not as stunning, but just as plain and obviously true. And so as to remove any credibility from me to John Piper, I'm just going to give you an idea of what seems obvious to him. And in his book, 27 Servants of Sovereign Joy, Piper says, I am saying more than the obvious fact that suffering is a result of faithful obedience in spreading the gospel. That is true. Jesus said suffering will result from faithfulness. You will be hated by all for my name's sake. Luke 21:17. If they persecuted you, if they persecuted me, they will persecute you. John 15:20. I am saying that this suffering is part of God's strategy. That's big. Piper is saying that suffering is part of God's strategy. And you can see right now, I'm not suffering. But when I get over to Bangladesh, God willing, if I can get down to the Rohingya refugees, that is suffering. No fresh water, very little food, I'm sure. And, you know, there's internet pictures, all that stuff. But anyway, moving on. I am saying that this suffering is part of God's strategy for making known to the world who Christ is, how he loves, and how much he is worth. This is both frightening and encouraging. It frightens us because we know that we may likely be called to suffer in some way in order to get the breakthrough we long to see in a hard frontline mission situation. And I think we can all agree that being with the Rohingyas down in Bangladesh can be defined as a hard line or a hard frontline mission situation. But it also encourages us because we can know that our suffering is not in vain and that the very pain that tends to dishearten us in the path to triumph, even when we can't see it. Many have gone before us on the Calvary road to suffering and remained perseverance. But at any rate, I lost my place there. Jesus came in the world to suffer and die for the salvation of a countless number of believers from all the peoples of the world. And we tend to think that our faith, at least in the circles I run in, is some kind of private possession. It's not private. It never was intended to be private, and we have to knock that notion out of people's heads. By your own blood, by Jesus' blood, you ransom people for God from every tribe and language and people and nation. Revelation 5:9. Suffering and death in the place of sinners was the way that Christ accomplished salvation. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. Galatians 3:13. He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. Isaiah 53:5. We preach that. It is the heart of the gospel. Hallelujah. Get your hands up and praise him. Glory.